welcome back to my kitchen. If you saw the last video, you would have seen how we roasted some fresh chocolate, and I felt it was only fair that we go ahead and record the chocolate bark that we're going to make with it. Chocolate bark is so easy to make. It's so delicious. And you can pretty much do anything you want with chocolate bark. Whatever your mood is, you can eat. So I'm using the Ghirardelli 60% bittersweet hot cocoa for this, and I have a double boiler. So basically what that is we have a vessel. This is a bowl, and underneath it we have water, but there is no direct contact. The key with melting chocolate is you do not want the water and the chocolate to mix. It will freeze up, and you are not going to get the consistency that you want. So I have here my chocolate, and it had already started heating up nicely, so I wanted it to start melting so that you don't have to sit here during the entire heating up the pan part. So for this chocolate bark, what we're gonna do is we have this nice dark chocolate. We're gonna pour it on a baking sheet that has parchment paper. And we just want to keep mixing this around so it can melt evenly. On the chocolate bark, I have our freshly roasted Tanzanian Peaberry coffee beans. I have crushed. It's very easy to break them apart. I just put them in a Ziploc bag and use my crab mallet, but you can use any kind of hammer or smashing device that you choose, and I just broke them apart till my beans were nice and chopped, and in a moment I will show you a great consistency for that. I also have some dried cherries. I chose dried cherries over getting cranberries because of the Tanzanian Peaberry. We're really trying to highlight that coffee in this bark. And a Tanzanian Peaberry has these really delicious dark chocolate and cherry notes. And I really want to bring that flavor out. As you can see, this chocolate does melt quite quickly in a double boiler. So we're just going to get this completely smooth. And also for my chocolate bark, I have a mixture of some nuts. At the grocery store, I couldn't find all the ones that I really wanted. I'm going to turn the temperature down on this because it's quite warm. But I have a mixture. I picked out the pistachios, the hazelnuts, and the walnuts and pecans, and I kind of broke them up into nice bite-sized pieces. And I also got a bag of that Heath toffee because just why not? That just sounded really good to mix in with this. So as you can see, this is already completely smooth. No chunks left in it. This is a great chocolate right now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat on this, and we're going to come over here to the decorating station. The handle does get a little bit warm. I'm going to use a pot holder because I really do not feel like burning myself today. I've done that enough. So now that we are over here at the station, I have over here, I'm just going to set this down for a minute. As you can see, we have the dried cherries, excuse me. I have the freshly roasted Tanzanian peaberries that I made just earlier, and as you can see, we have these crushed up. I'm not going to use all of this on my chocolate. Whatever I don't use, I will put in my pour over, and I will have a nice cup of coffee. And then I have some Heath Toffee Crunch, and here's the nuts that I picked out. I just got one of these Heart Healthy Mix. It has a little bit of everything. You have to really pick for the good nuts out of it because they love putting a lot of peanuts. And I used my crab mallet for smashing anything I need to in the kitchen. Just because I live in Maryland, we have these a dime a dozen around here. I think anybody who lives in Maryland owns a crab mallet. So now that we're here, we're gonna go ahead and, as you can see, my chocolate has become a beautiful consistency, and the pan is still pretty warm. And we're gonna go ahead, and I have my baking sheet. I have a couple different kind of baking sheets. This one's a nice, just a flat one, doesn't have any ridges. And we're gonna go ahead and just put this out here on the baking sheet. This is one whole bag of the chocolate chunks. I guess if you wanted to make it in bulk, you could use 2 bags, but honestly, 1 bag is more than sufficient. My family isn't huge chocolate eaters, so this will probably actually last quite a while in my house. Everybody's either on a diet or just doesn't really care for chocolate. So I'm going to spread this out a little bit. I don't want it to all lump up. And as you can see, I'm using parchment paper. It doesn't stick to this. It's really easy to clean up. And I can literally, once this dries, I can just go ahead and peel this up and break it right with that. So I'm just spreading this around some before I go ahead and put my toppings on. I just wanted a nice even layer. All right, that looks good. So I am going to go ahead and move that, and now we can just start decorating it with the toppings. So we're gonna throw some cherries in there. And you can put as much toppings or as little toppings as you want. I like to alternate them, so I don't just use up all my cherries at once. I definitely want to get this. This is that Tanzanian Peaberries. We're just gonna dust this over it. I probably broke up way too much, but that's okay. I could really go for a nice cup of coffee. So I will just brew the rest of this. But that looks good. I definitely want to get some good notes of that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my Heath bar because, like I said, just why not? It's such a delicious thing. That toffee flavor to go with coffee is always delicious. I'm kind of wanting to work. I don't have to work too fast in this, but I want to work fast enough that my chocolate doesn't fully seize up. I get the bits of toppings that go into my chocolate. And I like a lot of toppings on my bark. If you want more chocolate than toppings, then do it, however much you want, you can put on. But I mixed up all the nuts so that way I get a good variety through here. I like my bark to have a lot of toppings in it. I just love having the taste of chocolate and toppings. So I'm using all my nuts here. And then I have enough coffee through there. I'm just going to throw a couple more of these dried I keep wanting to call them cranberries. It's because I normally use cranberries, and this time I'm using cherries, but I'm just going to throw some extra ones on here. There we go. Now, as you can see, the chocolate bark has everything on it, and we're just going to let this sit. We can actually, if I had more space in the freezer, I would put it in the freezer, but instead I will be putting mine in the fridge. And then once it comes out of the fridge, your chocolate bark will be firm, and you can then just break it apart and enjoy it. Put it in plastic bags and do whatever it is that you are planning on doing. We have some that's missing some coffee here, so we definitely don't want to have a bite without that coffee. So I'm just putting a little bit extra around the edges. It's nothing like getting an edge piece and having nothing good on the edge. So I'm just throwing a little bit extra stuff on the edges. And this is going to be absolutely fantastic. You don't need to add sugar to this. It's already sweet just from the chocolate. And that is how you make chocolate bark.